All right, week 8 Sunday football. We're shaking things up a little bit this week. Usually, I got you the Sunday afternoon recap and Monday night football recap in 2 different episodes. A little bit under the weather on Sunday, but we're back. You know we're recapping week 8 in the league. So this will be hour 1, the Sunday afternoon recap. And right after that, my boy Steve is joining us to go over Sunday night football, Monday night football, and whatever else we missed. No worries. I got you covered. We're going from the top to the bottom. Sunday afternoon recap, Monday night, Sunday night later on. I appreciate you being with me. It was a phenomenal week in the NFL. We're starting to see the playoff picture start to form. We're seeing some teams become real serious contenders, and which ones might end up in the wild card, and which ones are looking at a draft lottery pick. So we'll recap it all today. While you're here, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, do your thing. It's been phenomenal, the support this year. I believe we're closing in on 3K subscribers, which is phenomenal. Not in my wildest dreams that I believe I would have 3,000 people watching the show, tuning in. I can't thank you guys enough, so keep doing what you're doing. I really do appreciate it, and I would like to remind you this season I've been sponsored by my friends over at Big Third Down Shop. So go check them out. The link is in my bio. They hooked me up with a real cool JV Show hat along with a bunch of NFL fan hats. They got it all available. Link is in my bio to go shop that. And without further ado, ladies, gents, let's talk some ball. Kicking us off on Sunday, Ravens 30, Bears 16. So we're going to talk Caleb Williams. We're going to get into Ben Johnson and then obviously the Ravens. But I would like to make it very clear. I think with Chicago right now, you're sitting at 4-3. Last year, you won, 5 games? This so far has been a successful year. I think you're winning the majority of games that you should be winning. You're taking down teams that you're better than. Now, this should have been a win for Chicago. They kept it real close. Caleb throws the pick, kind of throws the game away. Unfortunate without Lamar. You probably should have capitalized. Should have been 5-2. Whatever, it happens. It's the league. You're going to lose some games. But I think to start 4-3, it's encouraging. Like, it's a decent start. At least it's not 1-5 or 1-6 right now. I think you can look at the glass half full if you're a Chicago fan right now. Ben Johnson has done a pretty good job this year, working with what he's got in a new system, working with new players, first-time head coach. I think you can feel confident in what the Bears have put on film at different moments during the season. And different units have looked good as well. It's not like, it's only been a passing game or it's only been the defense. I think the defense at points has stepped up. I think the run game's been a lot better at moments this year. And I also think Caleb has taken some strides. Now, these last few weeks, we can talk about Caleb Williams. The chaos continues with Caleb. Every single week for these last few weeks, it's just been real chaotic. He can start the game strong, driving down the field, but he doesn't convert in the red zone right now. The accuracy continues to be a concern in his game. You need to be able to hit layup, wide open guys in the flat. Without a doubt. Gotta happen. You have to have those completions. And since he came into the league, those accuracy problems, they have always been there. 3 of his last 4 games, below a 60% completion percentage. I believe 3 of his last 4 games, he's below an 80 passer rating, I want to say. It hasn't been great. This was a game the Bears were knocking on the door for Caleb Williams to come out and have a big day. And he missed. He threw a bad interception, which put the Ravens up multiple scores and kind of put the game out of hand. He will make some absolutely jaw-dropping plays. But you have to match that with consistency. That's what you want out of a franchise quarterback. The run game and the defense has kept them going these last few weeks. Caleb has tailed that defense and a really good showing from DeAndre Swift and that Bears O-line for a few solid weeks now. This was a game they needed Caleb to take over, and that's going to happen. Sometimes you need your quarterback to step up and have a big game. Caleb wasn't there. I think it's completely premature and idiotic to bail on Caleb Williams. I have said it since week 1. He will, at minimum, get the rest of this year and next year with Ben Johnson. At minimum. Probably more. Because he's a first-round draft pick. He's a number 1 overall guy that you can develop. The talent undeniably there with him. But it just seems so chaotic sometimes. It's like he needs to do some meditation and take a deep breath and slow things down. You got to remember, Ben Johnson, for the last few years, dealt with Jared Goff in Detroit, a guy that stood in the pocket with good protection, dissected defenses, and went through his reads, one after the other. Caleb is very different. Caleb is spontaneous. He acts on the spot, doesn't fully go through his reads, bails on the pocket prematurely. And as a result, you get some frantic, chaotic plays like we've seen week after week now. So for Caleb to take the next step, the game has to slow down for him. He's got to take a deep breath. He's got to calm down. You have to be precise on the short, wide open throws in the game. And then your playmaking can show through the game. Then you can put that on display. But without those easy completions, you're killing yourself. You're not converting on second or third down. Those are big drives. Those are big conversions. You need those before you can scramble outside the pocket and launch it 50 yards downfield to your guy. I think the Bears are in a good spot right now. Ben Johnson's had a pretty successful start, I would say, to his head coaching career. 4-3. Aaron Glenn is 1-7 right now, or 1-6. Right? So I think we can applaud Ben Johnson and the job he's done. There's a lot to work on, but the Bears should feel okay with where they're at. Obviously, you want to be better, but I don't think it's the end of the world. As for the Ravens, don't count the Ravens out just yet. Snoop Huntley might have just won the Ravens their shot, their chance at a playoff run. Tyler Huntley might have just saved their season. And I say that because I'm looking at their schedule. Their next 5 weeks: Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals. If Lamar comes back healthy, that is 5 very winnable games that puts you in plus 500 category. And once you're there, in a conference that is still wide open, I know the Colts are dominating, but realistically, there's no absolute champ in this conference right now. The Ravens can make a run. If Lamar comes back healthy and he wins the next 5 or 6 games, that's a team and a player I don't want to see ever. Lamar Jackson is one of the rarest talents. You could call him generational the NFL has ever seen. Killing defenses with his legs and his arm. And if he comes back on this win streak and goes 5-0 or 4-1, gets him to 500 or even above that, that is huge. You look at the big picture right now, they're only 2 games behind in the playoff picture. The Steelers only have 4 wins right now. I believe they're 4-3 with the loss last night to the Steelers. Or pardon me, to the Packers. The AFC North is wide open. It's for Baltimore's taking when Lamar comes back. If they went down to 1-6, that's really difficult to carve yourself out of. That's a deep, deep hole. That's pretty much no more loss territory or one more loss. But now there's a little bit more on the leash. There's just a little bit more slack. And I think if Lamar comes back healthy next week, they got this big win. They got the momentum rolling. Snoop played a phenomenal game. Ravens came out, had a big interception, like I said, on Caleb in the red zone. They could do it. They could come back and make the playoffs. I wouldn't count them out yet. I still am not a fan of John Harbaugh. I still don't believe in the operation there, but I do believe in Lamar. I think he's a phenomenal player, and anything's on the table when he's starting for this team. So those are my takeaways. Bears, don't worry. You're 4-3. By no means are you shooting for a Super Bowl this year, but this is a step forward. And the Ravens, if Lamar comes back healthy, it could be game-changing. And this week was sneaky, but a huge win for this franchise and their hopes to make a Super Bowl this season. Let's go to New York Jets 39, Cincinnati Bengals 38. Bengals. I don't know what I watched. Listen, You cannot ask for much more out of Joe Flacco. You simply cannot. He has come in and played 2 phenomenal football games off a week or 2 of preparation with players he's never played with guys he has no chemistry with. What are his stats? Let me check them out here. I think he had 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, 100 passer rating, 38 points. That's about as good as you're going to get out of a 40-year-old Joe Flacco. That was a fireable offense for Zach Taylor. That was a fireable game for Zach Taylor. Embarrassing. The whole coaching staff, something needs to change. The leadership group is falling apart. You have captains requesting trades. 8 minutes left against the 0-7 Jets. You're up double scores. You have to close it out. Why are we running the ball on 2nd and 10? In the gotta-have-it moment, when you need a drive to win you the game, you collapse, you run the ball on 2nd and 10. What is Zach Taylor doing? The Bengals right now should be 4-4, competing for the top of this division. But instead, I feel better about the Ravens, ironically, than I do about the Bengals. And the funny thing is, I reached out to a Bengals fan because, to be totally honest, I don't watch a lot of Bengals football, but I see the whole fan base. Very rarely do you see this, but the whole Bengals fan base is rallying to fire Zach Taylor. Absolutely nobody I talk to wants him in office. Nobody I talk to wants him as the head coach. Collectively, it seems like the organization and the fan base is agreeing. So I reached out to somebody, and they essentially told me, and I completely agree with it, Zach Taylor will get so close to the point of being fired, of being let go, and he'll have a heroic game and something that just keeps him around for long enough. Just long enough. But this game, to lose to an 0-7 Jets team when you're clearly the more dominant team, when you're up 2 scores late in the 4th quarter, you gotta close it out. What about the D coordinator in Indianapolis? Lou. Bengals let go of him. They thought he was the problem. He's succeeding majorly in Indianapolis. And Zach Taylor's the only guy left to blame. Now, I know they don't got Joe Burrow. I know it's tough. The defense, by no means is it star-studded. You got some guys there for sure, but it's not A-tier. But this game is a have-to-close-out game. And it's embarrassing that they lost in that fashion and for that to have been the result. 39 Jets, 38 Bengals. Sad. But I'm watching the other side of the ball. I'm watching the Jets. Good for them. You know, I hate to see teams go defeated. 0-16, 0-17, whatever it is. It's sad because these guys, and of course they're getting paid millions of dollars, but they go into work and they put their 100% effort on the table. And these coaches and these players, they commit their everyday lives to this stuff. To not come away from a season with at least a win, with at least the joy of winning for your first-time head coach, for a quarterback that has been down in the dumps all year, that's sad, right? And I was so excited and happy for this franchise, for the players and the coaching staff, really, to come away with this win. I watched Justin Fields play. He played a real good game of football from a quarterback standpoint. I have a lot of respect for Justin Fields. As a quarterback, I think there's a lot left to be desired. I don't think he's a very good quarterback in the NFL, honestly. It's just my honest assessment. Now, who am I? I'm just a guy sitting behind a mic, watching some screens. But just from my assessment, watching the games, looking at the stats, to me it's very clear he's far behind the average group of quarterbacks in the NFL. But as a human and as a teammate, he's 10 out of 10. Everywhere Justin Fields goes, it seems like his teammates, his coaches, everybody loves him. He's a solid dude. He wears the blame on his shoulders. And when he was down in the dumps after 7 straight losses, after his GM, Woody Johnson, came out and bashed him publicly and essentially blamed him for Aaron Glenn going 0-7, he showed up, played a great game of football, and won the Jets their first game of the season. So I don't know what the future is for Justin Fields. Maybe he'll end up as a backup in this league. I don't necessarily think he's starting worthy right now. I don't think his arm is there. But as a person, Justin Fields is there, man. And I really appreciate that. If I needed a morale guy on my team, if I needed somebody beside me in life, Justin Fields is the guy. Every time he talks to the media, presentable, wearing the blame, like I said, never directs blame at his teammates, at his coaching staff, even when he was in Pittsburgh. Very mature and professional. When they moved to Russ, I think he's a phenomenal dude. I don't know him personally, but from what I've seen, I have a ton of respect for the guy. And the other thing I'll say about New York, the second people leave New York, they seem to do a lot better. So as far as quarterbacking goes, I don't really think Justin Fields is there, like I said, but I don't think New York is helping. Like Aaron Rodgers, we saw the year he had. Everyone bashed him, including myself, and he goes to Pittsburgh and he's balling out now. I think New York's a big problem here, and I'm a huge fan of Justin Fields. Talking about New York, talking about the Jets, Woody Johnson is completely embarrassing. He's completely embarrassing. He's off his rocker. He calls out Justin Fields at his lowest points. There's that one tale. When somebody is drowning, it is not the time to teach them how to swim. Your quarterback is struggling. Your head coach, your first-time head coach, does not have a win. Inexperienced. Everybody's down in the locker room, and for the GM, or for the owner to come out and say, how is he going to get a win with that quarterback play? Or whatever he said. That is unbelievable. It's been embarrassing since I tuned into the Robert Saleh saga in New York. The way they dealt with that, the way Woody Johnson was acting with Aaron Rodgers and Saleh, the way he worked out that situation, and now the way the Jets look and what he says, it's embarrassing. I would not want to play for that organization. It's got to be one of the worst in sports right now. It has to be. And like I said, the second anybody leaves New York, it seems like their careers get exponentially better. Why is that? I don't know, but to me, sounds like a GM, sounds like an owner issue. Woody Johnson's an embarrassment. I feel bad for New York and the fan base. I think you all saw that video of the kid. He's like, I hate this team. I hate this team. It's sad. I feel really bad. I would honor anybody wanting to switch fan bases if you're a Jets fan up to this point. Let's go Bills 40, Panthers 9. Big win for the Bills. I'm happy as a Bills fan myself. It was encouraging to see them put up 40 points. It was a little bit slow to start, but good to see the run game get established. Listen, I'm going to come off as real negative here because, again, I really want to see a Super Bowl for this team. And the way we are trending this year, we had a big game against the Panthers, but Bryce Young wasn't starting, and it's the Carolina Panthers. We should win this game. I was not head over heels that we blew the Panthers out. Should be happening. Our last few weeks have been pretty embarrassing. So good to get back in the win column. Good to see James Cook moving. But I'm still really concerned about this team. Josh Allen. Listen, Josh Allen is the savior for our franchise. Won the MVP last year. Phenomenal quarterback. Very athletic. I've seen him grow year after year as a passer, as a quarterback, as an athlete. He's become a phenomenal talent. But right now, there is no way Josh Allen should be second in MVP voting. I'm sorry. He just shouldn't. I'm being brutally honest as a Bills fan. There are a handful of quarterbacks playing much better football this season. He hasn't played elite football for at least a good few weeks now. Now, where you direct the blame, that's on you. That's on your opinion. Maybe it's Josh having a slow start to the season. Maybe it's the lackluster receiving room. Something's going on in the passing game. We'll talk about it. Whatever it is, Josh Allen is by no means having an MVP caliber season right now. Turning over the ball a lot more than he did last year. He's at 7 total turnovers right now. He had 10 total turnovers last year. He doesn't have a number one. And I have been pulling my hair out, begging to go and get a number one talent for Josh Allen, like we did with Diggs. Doesn't have that right now. Probably not his fault that he's missing talent. Like just point blank talent in the receiving room. But from an MVP standpoint, you cannot convince me Josh Allen's playing better ball right now than Drake May, than Dak, than Stafford, even Baker, when you're looking at the entire season so far. When it comes to the playoffs, there are very few quarterbacks I'm taking over Josh Allen. And talent-wise, and to build a franchise, Josh Allen's a top 3 pick, a top 2 pick, right up there with Mahomes, Lamar, your big 4. But right now, I was stunned that he was number 2 in betting odds to win MVP. You know, like, we got to give it to some quarterbacks playing a little bit better right now. That's it. The Bills, like I said, the passing game, Josh Allen had 12 completions for 160 yards against the Panthers. James Cook had himself a day. 216 rushing yards, few TDs for him. Awesome to see. But this passing game really worries me, man. It really does. Buffalo needs a passing game. It's pretty pathetic because half his completions, Josh Allen, were screen passes, short dump-offs. The pass game is regressing. And I'm getting really, really concerned. We barely have a number 2 option. Okay, Shakir is great. Coleman is great. We don't have anybody that separates. We don't have big playmakers. We have nobody that we can absolutely rely on in a red zone situation as far as receivers go. The run game is our identity, yes. James Cook becomes a superstar in moments, yes. But we need a pass game to complement that. We cannot simply run our way through the AFC and win a Super Bowl like that. Part of that is on Josh Allen. Part of that is Josh Allen playing better football. But Brandon Beane has to pull the trigger at the trade deadline and go and get a number 1. Because that's how we compete. We've lost a few really bad games this year. Pretty embarrassing losses, if you ask me as a Bills fan. I'm happy the run game is moving. It's phenomenal to see James Cook playing up to his contract. Awesome. We need a passing game. Buffalo scares the hell out of me. My confidence levels, very low. Great 40-point game. We're 5-2. We've beat the Jets, Dolphins, Saints, Panthers, and Ravens. All games that I expected us to win this year. We don't got a number 1 option. The pass game is getting worse. Ed Oliver is now out indefinitely with a torn bicep. I have no doubt that we make the playoffs, but that's my expectation. I want to see a Super Bowl in Buffalo. I want Josh Allen to be carrying the Super Bowl trophy. I want Josh Allen holding the Lombardi in February. And the way we're trending right now, we're not a top 3 team in the AFC. Pats are better than us. Chiefs are better than us. Colts are better than us right now. From what I've seen through 7 weeks of football with the Bills, we're not a top 3 team in the AFC. And we don't have control over our division right now. We need to get that back. We need a playmaker. We need a number one receiver. We need an option, and the defense has got to step up. Played a great game against the Panthers. I need more. I need us to win the big games now. I need us to be a great football team. Let's celebrate 40 points against the Panthers. Awesome. We got a lot of work to do. As for the Panthers, Bryce Young means a lot to this team. I've been a Bryce Young fan all year long. I think he's a really good quarterback. I think he's got a lot of growing to do for sure, but he's shown some signs of improvement this year. I think it's encouraging where the Panthers are at. I think they're at 4-4 now, I want to say, on the season. Let me just double check that. Yeah, they're at 4-4. So, look, that's good. Again, it's the same thing with the Bears. These guys might win 7 games this year. That's good. That is encouraging for these franchises. I think that's good for the Panthers. That backfield in Carolina is awesome. Awesome. But let's face the facts. I hate to say it. Rico Dowdle is outperforming Chuba right now. I know you just paid Chuba, so you're inclined to give him the majority of reps. You feel pressured to give him the volume. But there is no denying the production gap right now. Rico is averaging 5.7 yards per carry. Chuba is averaging 3.6. Rico has looked quicker, more explosive, and he's making more things happen for this offense. Now, I'm not saying ditch Chuba. You can have a really good 1-2 punch here, like the Lions got with Monty and Gibbs. Chuba will find his way in this offense. He's the 15th highest paid running back in the league. That's not that bad. People act like his contract is top 5 in the NFL. Chuba deserved some good money. He had a great 2024 campaign, but the production, you can't question it. Rico Dowdle has been phenomenal since he entered as the number 1 back in this offense, and they need to feed him the rock. Right now, give Rico Dowdle the backfield. Hold on to both of them ideally. You can split it, but I think at minimum it's got to be a 65-35 split for Rico. He's playing at an elite level. He had back-to-back 200-yard rushing games, I believe, or some incredible stat like that. Run the rock with Rico. Get Chuba some work. I know you paid him. I know it's tough when you pay a guy. You want to play him, but you got to do what's best for the team. And right now, I think Rico is playing some phenomenal football, and Chuba's just got to wait. He's got to wait right now. I'm not saying don't play him because people are going to blow it out of proportion. Give him a split, but give Rico the volume. Eagles 38, Giants 20. Big time segment right ahead of us. We got Eagles, Giants, and wrap it up with Broncos, Cowboys before we move over to the Monday Night Football recap with my guy, Steve. Listen, this might be the turning point for Philly. This was a huge game. This was what we were waiting for with the Eagles offense. This was the first game all year the Eagles dominated from start to finish for 60 straight minutes. You established a run game early on. Saquon Barkley, 60-plus yard touchdown. That's who the Eagles wanted to be. No A.J. Brown, lean on the run game. You get one. You bang one home. You love to see it. Barkley opens up the game strong. Barkley went for 150. Tank Bigsby went for 100. They had well over 250 on the ground. Smitty gets 84 on 6 targets. The passing game was electric. Jalen Hurts, 15 of 20, 180 yards, 4 touchdowns. It was awesome. It was a freaking phenomenal game from this Eagles team. At its best, this Eagles offense is unstoppable. This was all without A.J. Brown. They put up 38 points and were absolutely dominant. The identity in Philly is the run game. It's what this offense banked on last year all throughout the playoffs. You draw the defense into the box. You get your receivers on one-on-one matchups. And the rest is history. That's what happened in the Super Bowl. That's what happened all throughout the playoffs. And with all the talent they got, it really is unstoppable. You just got to dumb it down to the simplest form of football, I think, with this offense. Get Barkley touches, get the O-line moving, get the run game established, and work your passing game from there. Take your deep shots with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is one of the best deep ball passers in the NFL. Perfect when Barkley is just killing defenses with his legs, moving on the ground. You dial up an A.J. Brown go ball. You dial up a Jahan Dotson. Blur. Pop. You know, like it's very simple football. It is. Shout out Kevin Patullo. Called a really good game. I think this is a turning point. Last year we saw this turning point early, week 5. This year, maybe a little bit later. This is the spark the Eagles needed to get the offense going. And now you got to expect 30-plus points per week every single week. It's the expectation with the talent that they got. Jalen Hurts? Come on. You know, I love to support the guy. I absolutely do. Because a lot of people tend to hate on this guy. A lot of people tend to go after him for no reason at all. For doing his job. Jalen Hurts is on pace for his best career season. He's on track for 3,500 passing yards, 400 plus on the ground, nearly 4,000 all-purpose yards, and 31 touchdowns. Passing. 31 passing touchdowns he's on pace for. He's thrown 1 interception to his 15 touchdowns so far this season. This is all considering the fact that Philly's passing offense has been suspect all year long. People have knocked Jalen Hurts in the passing offense since week 1. And he's having one of his best passing seasons of his career. He's 6th in the league in completion percentage at 70.2%. He's 4th in the league in average passer rating. You cannot deny this guy's success this year. And this is almost always with a run game that disappeared for the first 7 weeks of football. I know this week it exploded. Barkley, Bigsby, big game. But keep in mind, the Eagles have turned to Jalen Hurts a lot more often this year than they did last to win them games, and he has. He had one bad game this year, and people attacked him like he hasn't played good football in years. He's allowed to have a bad game. I thought it was great to see. Go look at the stats for yourself. You'll be shocked. I get it, right? Like 3,500 passing yards. If that's Mahomes, if that's Stafford, you're like, whatever. But it's a big deal for a guy in an offense where the run game is the priority. Do I think Jalen Hurts is the top 5 passer of the football in the league? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You'd be crazy to say that. You'd be lying to yourself. If you're a Philly fan, check yourself if you're saying that. But what I do know, in the big moments when you need a guy to turn to, it's Jalen Hurts. When you need a gotta-have-it deep ball to punish a defense, it's Jalen Hurts. When you need a guy to protect the football, to have a clean passing game, it's Jalen Hurts. Do I think he's better than Mahomes, Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow? No. I think those 4 are separated by themselves. But after that, I think you can have a conversation with absolutely anybody in Jalen Hurts. The one part about this Philly offense I absolutely hate this year, and I was against the banning of this play. Like, I didn't think it should have been banned. But now it's getting out of hand. The tush push is getting banned. Philly's going to have to enjoy it while it's here because it's gone. You know, like, I hate to break it to you. It was clearly a fumble. Even Philly fans know it was a fumble. Not only is it hard to officiate, but the ambiguity with the rules is just not going to cut it. It's not. There is too much controversy. There was way too much controversy going into the season. And now with everything happening, for Philly to run it time after time in the games, with all the offside penalties that have been missed, with the fumble now against the Giants. Everybody in the nation knows that this play is a scam. Right now, it's a scam. And this isn't me complaining, because I was all for the tush push if they used it correctly and they didn't abuse it. But now you're running it on 3rd and 1, and then on 4th and goal, and then again on 1st and goal. It's like, come on. Come on, give it a break. Now we're confused about forward progress. Now you're not calling really clear fumbles on the play. If it's officiated fairly and it's not overused, I feel like it's all right. But just from like a life standpoint right now, the Eagles were given a life with this play, right? A lot of people voted against it, but they were given a life. And now I feel like they're abusing it. And I guarantee you, a lot of the people that voted against the ban are probably changing their minds, because they're seeing this and they're like, that could be us. Like, that could be our team that's getting scammed. So I think it's gone. At the end of this year, I think it's gone, to be honest with you. Giants, I mean, you got dominated by a better team. Phillies, in my opinion, a top 2, arguably top 1 team in the NFL. Tough to see Cam Scatterbu go down. But I just want to touch on that real quick before we go to the Broncos Cowboys to wrap things up. Cam Scatterbu has already left an unforgettable mark on New York Giants football. And I think people, like, they don't comprehend what Scatterbu has already done for New York. The fact he was picked in round 4 is unreal. He is the prototype football player. Maybe he's a little bit small, but he loves physicality. He loves contact. He thrives with his pardon me, I can't speak right now. His physicality. He's fueled by passion, and he made his impact felt on day 1 for this franchise. He's a hard, tough runner, extremely difficult to take down, and there is so much to love about Scatterbu's game. To have a dislocated ankle, such a gruesome injury, is so devastating when you're having an amazing rookie campaign. But I can guarantee you, in only 8 weeks, Cam Scatterbu became a household name in Giants households. Scatterbu became a household name all across New York because he's got a dog in him, and you can't teach that. You cannot teach the game Scatterbu plays. When I see him in the post-game pressers with Jackson Dart, there's this aura that Scatterbu brings, this intensity, this excitement that you love to watch. And I think every football fan appreciates watching Cam Scatterbu do his thing. Unfortunate that his season's over. But I do think he'll come back strong. And I do think already he's made a huge name for himself in New York. Let's wrap things up here. Broncos 44, Cowboys 24 before we transition over into Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football. And I think we got, let me check here. Patriots, Browns, and Colts, Titans to chat up with my boy Steve. So we'll get into that right away in the second hour of the episode. But as for the Broncos demolishing the Dallas Cowboys, Bo Nix is heating up. I heard a lot of people say he wasn't a franchise quarterback, and I think that's false. The Denver Broncos could be a top 3 team in the AFC if Bo Nix plays like that every single week. The defense is just an elite unit. Secondary strong. They have 4 guys in the top 25 in total sacks this year. 2 of them, Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper, are hooping so far this season. They're both top 10 in sack totals this year. This offense determines how far this team can really push it. Sean Payton's play calling and Bo Nix performing. I don't think the receiving room is anything to go crazy about, but they got some playmakers. And we saw that all throughout that Cowboys game. These last 5 quarters for Bo Nix, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception. He's played phenomenal lights-out football. The pass he made at the back of the end zone, connecting with Pat Bryant, was one of the most gorgeous passes you'll see all year. It was priceless. It was a thing of beauty. So I think, all things considered, the year so far hasn't been great for Bo Nix, but up to this point, these last 5 quarters or so of football have been pretty phenomenal. I believe in Bo Nix. I think it takes him a little bit to heat up, to get his rhythm going, but once he gets comfortable, he can look really good. And he can propel this Broncos offense pretty far. I have faith in Denver. They were one of my dark horse Super Bowl teams coming into the season, primarily because I just love what they have going on defense. I think they put amazing pressure on the quarterback. I think the secondary is solid. I know there's a lot of complaints about Riley Moss, but they do have some really good pieces back there. If the offense can find its consistent groove, the Broncos are a team you do not want to see in the playoffs, especially when they're playing at home at Mile High. Dallas continues to be really disappointing defensively. How many 30 or 40-plus point games have they already allowed this season, and we're only halfway through the year? Dak, probably his worst game of the year, threw a few interceptions, no TDs. Really just an overall bad game from this Cowboys team, something you want to move past. It's very clear the Dallas Cowboys are not in it to win it this season. They're not. I think Dak has played phenomenal this year. I don't think there's anything that you can debate with that. I don't think you can deny that. I would argue he should be top 5 in MVP voting. I know not his best day, but the last 7 weeks have put on display some really, really great football. But this Cowboys defense with Eberflus has been an embarrassment. And I don't even think embarrassment does it justice to how bad it's been. They've had, I'd argue, 5 or 6 career quarterback performances against them. That is never a good sign. Never. The secondary is fried. They've had worse teams go off on them. And I think the Broncos exposed them even further this week. 44 points. Bo Nix had a day. And, that's not to take away from Bo Nix. Like, it sounds like you go into Dallas. These are still NFL guys. But the defense has just been atrocious. Atrocious. And I've mentioned in previous episodes, it's not a Micah thing. If they had Micah, they'd probably still be, 85% as bad as they've been. Like, they're just not a good defensive unit. Eberflus, I have no faith in. I don't think the secondary is good in Dallas, to be honest with you. They get burned way too often for having so many quote-unquote big names back there. It's tough. Dak's played some really good football. They probably should be a 5-win team right now. They're not because the defense just isn't there. And the Broncos took advantage of it. That is Sunday recap. I'm going to send you right over to me and Steve right now. So stay with me. We're going Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Patriots, Browns, Colts, Titans. I'll see you in a second. Okay, this is hour 2 of the Week 8 recap. I got both recaps in one episode today. For the Monday night episode, I got to bring back on my boy Steve. Steve, thanks for being with me, man. I know Chiefs Commanders, a little bit of a blowout here, but at least we're back talking ball. We get to talk your Colts tonight. Sunday Nighter was great. MLB is on. We're living life, dude. You're just talking about Shohei. I'm not a big baseball guy, but I know you're loving it.
Yeah, well, I said last week we're approaching the sports equinox, and today was one of those days where all 5 major American sports played. Don't really care about MLS or NHL, but World Series, Monday Night Football, NBA all on the same night. I got a quad box, double box rocking on YouTube TV. That's not an ad. But Otani's going crazy. Mahomes just took a knee, so the Commanders' game's over, 28-7. We can transition to that game because I got no notes on the Commanders. Just Mariota.
You know what? It's so sad, and we'll touch on the Commanders after the Chiefs, but just to talk about KC real quick, Steve, Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. Like, he really is. And listen, hate him or love him, you cannot deny he's one of the greatest in history. Like, he's going to retire as one of those guys, like we just talked about before the episode started, Steve, your kids are asking about. And they'll treat you like gold when they're like, did you watch this guy really play? His career is something people could only dream of before he showed up. Even Brady, I don't think, was hitting milestones of like 7 straight conference championships and clearly competing for his 8th straight. The amount of Super Bowls, the hardware that he's got, he's leading quarterbacks or top 5 in almost every important passing stat category. His playmaking remains grade A. We've missed some elite football from Mahomes, or quote-unquote elite football, but you got to understand, a down year for Mahomes is a really solid year for a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL. And now we're seeing Mahomes back up to MVP form. In year 9, he looks absolutely phenomenal. And, you know, you can go after the Chiefs and say the NFL's pushing an agenda or the refs. That's fine, but there is no denying his success because it sure as hell hasn't been like that since year 1. Mahomes has been doing this since he entered the league. And what I saw tonight, just another example of that. 2 early picks, a little bit unfortunate off Kelsey's hands, the other one back shoulder. It happens. That second half was just domination, dude. Like Mahomes' takeover.
Yeah, that was definitely the worst first half I've seen from Mahomes in a long time. 2 picks, one on a back shoulder that Aikman pointed out he just doesn't throw, and then the one goes through Kelsey's hands. But once he locked in, that game was over. No one was touching Mahomes. I felt like all of his touchdowns, he just had a billion years to throw. They couldn't touch him. And he led 4 straight touchdown drives after those 2 picks, not including the possession at the end of the half. Just looked like the best player in the world. And to me, you're just allowed to have a bad half. If you're Mahomes, you just went to 3 straight Super Bowls, you're allowed to have a bad half. You know, it's Monday Night Football against Marcus Mariota. You're at home. You can have a bad half. But what really matters is how you look after the bad half. And like you said, you look like the best quarterback in the world. These guys receivers back. How good was Rashee Rice tonight? He's rattling off 2 or 3 touchdowns in his sleep. Again, he had the 2 picks, one of them not his fault in the first half. But when he responded, he saw every receiver on the field from Gray to Hollywood Brown to Juju Smith-Schuster. He was incredible in that second half.
Well, and people, I think, were underestimating the return of Rashee Rice. Like, I understand he's not a Randy Moss, but he is so crucial for this lineup. When you have your Worthy, your Rice, Kelsey, I believe, almost had 100 yards tonight.
Yeah.
He spreads the ball out really nicely, but it's good to have a number 1 red zone guy you can turn to, a guy that gets a release off the line and gets in the end zone, and you can find him in one-on-one man coverage. That's been huge. This Chiefs offense is really firing on all cylinders right now. They look absolutely phenomenal. And like you said, bad halves happen, but it was clear from the beginning to the end who the better team was. I thought it was a pretty miraculous catch by Scary Terry to end the quarter there for that touchdown, but after that, it was all Chiefs. The Chiefs are my favorites to win the AFC right now. I think it's them and the Colts right now as the 1A, 1B. I trust the Chiefs a lot more because they have a lot more experience in the playoffs. But you just look at it from top to bottom. Mahomes is playing elite football. Rashee Rice has come back and immediately made a huge impact. I believe he's got 3 touchdowns in his last 2 games back. Yep. I thought it was pretty funny, Steve. Like, they throw up on the screen, like, all his felonies and, like, getting arrested. I'm just like, yeah. I just want to watch ball. You know what I mean? And they got, like, music jazzing in the back. But him coming back was great. They're piecing together the run game. It's still very average, but they can live with it if the passing game is this good. And the defense is great. Like, that remains an elite unit under Spags. They stifle some amazing offenses. This Chiefs team is just getting better and better. I wouldn't be surprised to see them in the Super Bowl again this year.
I mean, JV, think about Mahomes. His last 3 games, he's got 3 passing touchdowns in all 3 of them. And he's yet to have a receiver over 100 yards this season. He's had 299s, but he has yet to have a wide receiver or a tight end go for 100 yards or more. And the guy, I'm trying to do the math really quickly, since Worthy came back in the lineup, Baltimore, 5, 8, 11, 14. I mean, I'm looking at these passing touchdowns. He's got a lot. I think he's got 17 touchdowns since, I think it's 14 since Worthy's came back in the lineup. The guy is just throwing to whoever. He doesn't have that Puka Nacua, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. And even with the bad half, this offense now is scoring like 28 points a game in their sleep.
And it just wasn't like that last year. Like, the defense was carrying them through games, and I know they had a few 30-point games. The Panthers, they had another one, I believe. But it really was like 21, 24-point games, and you were just getting by. But now that this offense has come onto the screen and they're complementing the defense in elite fashion, it's pretty dangerous. Like, it's something you don't want to see. And I don't know, man. I wouldn't want to mess with the Chiefs. I don't like to dip into the whole agenda thing. Does the NFL call a few things awkwardly in the Chiefs' direction? Maybe. But, like, at the end of the day, they're a pretty elite team. Reid's an elite coach, Hall of Famer. Mahomes, a future Hall of Famer, one of the GOATs. It's getting dangerous. And like the Commanders, I know. You know, it's Washington. They blew out the Raiders. They blow out Washington. They're winning games that they're supposed to win. The Commanders, Steve, like you said, not much to say without Jaden Daniels in the lineup. To me, I don't know. Watching them last year, Steve, the Commanders hit their peak last year for me, I think. I thought that they had a really great season. They lucked out a little bit. They were also riding a really high wave. They had a ton of momentum. Jaden Daniels, his rookie year. Jaden Daniels is a phenomenal quarterback, but they're also the oldest roster in the NFL. And I don't think that they jump out at you as an uber-talented team or with a ton of playoff experience. Like, you know, they're just kind of in this weird spot right now. And I think this year it's kind of showing, like, I think there was an expectation this year that they would be good again. And I don't know, like last year with the momentum, it just kind of felt like they were riding the wave. And now they met this brick wall. And with or without Jaden Daniels, it just doesn't seem the same to me. Like, I don't know. I'm sure you get the same reaction watching the games.
No, I said during last season when it was actually happening, the Commanders, it just felt like a Cinderella run. You know, everything was just going in their favor from the Hail Mary against Chicago and then a bunch of walk-offs. But, you know, they did win those 2 playoff games and went to the championship. But it was primarily on the backs of Jaden Daniels just being great. And they come into this season outside of Laramie Tunsil, who did get banged up a bit tonight. O-line's not great. And their defense, like you said, it's old and slow. And Terry McLaurin came in with the offseason contract issues, and then he has the injury bug. Deebo Samuel's missed a few games. It's not a particularly talented roster. When you stack them up with, obviously, the Lions and the Eagles, but then you start stacking them up with Denver, and you're like, yeah, other teams just got more good players than Washington. And then when you remove the electric talent of Jaden Daniels, who just feels like Lamar Jackson 2.0, add the lineup and put Marcus Mariota, who's a competent backup, to be fair, into that spot, then you start seeing like a lot of these holes that Jaden Daniels has been covering up. And that's where I give Jaden Daniels a lot of credit for taking this team to the NFC Championship. But it did feel like when you compare their roster to the rest of the league, it did feel like last year was a bit of a Cinderella run. And now, coming into this year, what are they, 3-5 now? Yep, just peeped ESPN, they're 3-5. You start seeing a lot of their holes.
Well, you stack them up. Like you said, the Lions, no shot. Philly, no shot. But then you go deeper in the NFC, like the Packers, wide margin there.
No.
The Bucks, taking the Bucks talent all day.
Bucks.
Like, they're, you know, that wild card on the outside looking in a little bit right now. But I just don't think that they can compete. Like, it was a little bit of a Cinderella run last year. And Jaden Daniels, I want to give him credit because he looked phenomenal, and what he did in his rookie year was amazing. But even Terry, like, he deserved his contract, but he's older. I think he's like 29 years old, right? Like,
deal with injuries too, yeah.
Right, like this is probably his last big contract. So Washington, I think, from watching them and assessing them this year, They got a lot to do. They got a lot of work to do. They're not going to just snap their fingers every year and end up in the conference championship. They're going to have to go through some really tough NFC games. And if they do end up making the playoffs this year, I don't think there's a lot there for them with how some of the teams are looking. Let's go Sunday Night Football right now. Talking about the Packers, they demolished the Steelers 38-25. A really great second half from Jordan Love and the boys. Steve, I saw you post today about him. We've talked a lot about the Packers on the show. Jordan Love earned his entire contract on Sunday. I've never doubted his talent. I've always questioned putting the ball in harm's way at important points, but the talent is evidently there. Tucker Kraft got him in rhythm with a huge catch, and then he took off. Once he got red hot, he destroyed that Steelers defense. Christian Watson coming back was huge. He had 4 catches for 85 yards. Just lethal on the quick play action, destroying the defense, picking them apart. He can go step for step talent-wise with almost any quarterback in the league. His arm talent, throwing with different arm angles, making things happen, outside, scrambling outside the pocket, he really is fantastic. And when he plays up to that level, Steve, it's hard to believe a team can stop these Packers.
We talked about it last week. I feel like we've been talking Packers for the last few of these shows, but we said it last week when they were in a game with Jacoby Brissett, and we're like, what's going on? I brought up one of the points. Jordan Love needs to play 4 great quarters of football. Needs to put an entire game together, and I didn't think he did last night. But we saw when he can at least put a half, that's an elite talent. How lucky are Packers fans that they go from Favre, Rodgers, and then you got Jordan Love. He gets the $55 million contract, and he looked like a $50 million player. 20 straight completions last night, 3 touchdowns. If Jordan Love, I don't know if it's part Matt LaFleur's play calling, just allowing Jordan Love to be more of himself, or Jordan Love just not seeing it early. But if they can start early and just get rid of the slow starts, like you said, I don't know how a team in the league beats them, considering that Jordan Love's an elite talent. They got an elite play caller. Their weapons, they don't have one great weapon, but Tucker Kraft is coming along to be a tight end number 1 possibly. Josh Jacobs always finds himself in the end zone. And then their receivers, they don't have the main guy, but Watson's back, Dobbs solid, Matthew Golden, whatever you can get is a plus. And then defense, Micah Parsons. If Jordan Love can get a lead earlier, like a 10-point lead earlier, Micah Parsons is just going to get more sacks. And we saw it at the end of the game against the Cardinals, and we saw it last night. But I thought this stat was interesting. I said it on my show. Since that Commanders win, when we all thought Green Bay was the best team in the NFL, they're only putting up 7.8 points per first half, but in the second half, it's 19.6. It's like a tale of two halves between this team. In the first half, they look like a fringe playoff team, but the second half, they look like the best team in the league. So again, I don't know if it's Matt LaFleur's play calling that is, or is it Jordan Love not seeing it, but if Love can start playing great football earlier and not in just the third, fourth quarter, man, this team could really win the NFC.
Well, and they're pressuring the quarterback at an insane rate. Micah looks like the defensive player of the year. Like, everything was clicking against the Steelers. And it was a slow start for sure. Steelers got up early. Second quarter, they were up, I think, maybe a score and 3 points, whatever it was. But that second half was just like click, click, click. Everything was going for this Packers offense. And like you said, Steve, I literally had it written down here. The Packers are a quarterback factory. And you're looking at teams like the Browns, Tennessee. These teams would kill for a franchise quarterback. And the Packers just happen to get them after each other, one after another. I never, ever questioned the Jordan Love contract because at this point in time with how the quarterback market is, you find a guy with that talent, you got to pay him. You can't let him walk. I think they're developing him really nicely. He's getting a lot better. Tucker Kraft was phenomenal last night. And I've always questioned like the number one issue there, but I'm watching the Colts play this year, Steve, and I'm like, do they really need a number one if they have a bunch of guys producing at a really good level? Like, you know, it would be nice to have a guy that you can always rely on, but the Colts are doing really well, and we'll talk about them right away with the guys that they got, and they're spreading the ball out really nicely. Downs, Pittman Jr., Tyler Warren, Adonai Mitchell, like they have a lot of guys. Same thing with the Packers. So if they can distribute the ball to each one of those guys, one of the guys has their night every other week, I think they're great. It's can they keep it consistent and can they play consistent football across the field? Familiar face, Aaron Rodgers. I owe him an apology. I owe Aaron Rodgers an apology. I bought into the wash narrative. It was clearly the Jets. This is the best he's looked in a while. He's moving really well for his age. 41 years old, and he's throwing for 1,500 yards and 16 touchdowns so far this season. I think this is the best case scenario for the Steelers. That defense has not been good whatsoever. They've missed the mark this season. But with Rodgers, the playmaking has been phenomenal. He's throwing on the run, making things happen. Still a little bit of a mobility concern, but that happens when you're older. I think they're getting the best they can out of Aaron Rodgers right now. I don't think this is an offensive problem in Pittsburgh, to be honest with you.
No, if you're going to say anything about Pittsburgh, the last thing you criticize is Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is the best Aaron Rodgers has looked since his final MVP season in Green Bay. Guy's tied for second in touchdowns. 41 years old in a dink and dunk offense, and his only real wide receiver is DK Metcalf. What more can you ask from Aaron Rodgers at this point? He's even moving a little bit. His mobility post-Achilles is coming along. But if you're going to point the finger, JV, you said it's the defense. It's Mike Tomlin's defense. This organization spends more money on that side of the ball than any other team in the league. And they can't stop you and me. These last 2 weeks, Joe Flacco, Jordan Love put up about 40 a game. They're just getting eviscerated. It's losing them games. Offense hasn't been playing that bad, but the defense is losing them games. I think I said it last week. The Steelers have just this problem that the Cowboys and Ravens have, where they got so much money invested in these big name, big play. I mean, literally, one of their corners' nicknames Big Play. And none of them are making big plays. The Ravens, it's Marlon Humphrey, Jair. Cowboys, it's Bland Diggs. In Pittsburgh, it's Ramsey and Slay. And these guys are getting cooked every single Sunday. Like, if you talk about the biggest weaknesses right now in Baltimore, Dallas, and Pittsburgh, it's probably their secondary. And TJ Watt, let's be honest, especially when you see how Myles Garrett is looking, TJ Watt is just falling off real fast. This Steelers defense is letting them down, which is surprising because it's been their calling card for about the past decade, at least in the regular season. And they finally get the quarterback here like, okay, you can probably win us a playoff game, and their defense is just atrocious.
I wonder when people will start to, as a consensus, talk about Mike Tomlin, because he's looked at as this like elite top tier head coach. And I won't deny that. He's going straight to the hall. He's had some phenomenal teams. He's been a really great coach. But again this year, Steve, I hate to break it to the fans, but the Steelers are looking like their signature 9-8 selves where they get knocked out in the playoffs. And this year, it's ironically not even the offense. Like you said, 4 of 7 games this year, they've allowed 30-plus points. Some of those games to teams like the Jets, who just won their first game. They're 1-7. Justin Fields, who can't pass the rock to save his life. So I just don't understand. Both Flacco and Love went for 300-plus and 3 touchdowns. They're not forcing turnovers right now. It's really, really odd. And like you said, Steve, great point. They spend so much money on this unit for it to fall apart. And it falls apart every year in the playoffs. People tend to overlook that, but they average like 30 to 35 points per game against in the playoffs, that defense. So whether it's the playoff defense of Mike Tomlin's or now, I have a lot of questions. Because this year, with the way Rodgers is playing, they could have a shot in the AFC. They certainly have this division, a firm grasp on it, but they're kind of losing it now. You got Lamar coming back healthy. They got an easy stretch of 5 games now. They win one of those divisional games. I don't know how good it looks for Pittsburgh. Do you think they'll win a playoff game this year?
No, this is one and done all over again. I've seen this before, and it's because of their defense. I just looked it up. They got the worst passing defense by total yards by like 20. And this is the Pittsburgh Steelers with all those millions invested in their defense. But, I mean, if their regular season defense is going to hold up, their playoff defense sure as hell not. Because the last decade, the reason why they don't have a playoff win is because their defense is giving up like 40 a game, like 20, 40, 30 a game. And now they finally get the quarterback who, feel comfortable. If you get the right playoff matchup, you don't see Mahomes or anything in the wild card, you can win a playoff game. But now with that defense, they got the 3rd worst total defense, worst passing defense. They're bottom 10 in points per game. Yeah, no shot. No shot.
I don't think they've won a playoff game since 2017. Like, it's been a pretty dry stretch here. It's not good in Pittsburgh. They got to make a drastic change. Like, at some point, you got to make a move that really shakes things up, whether it's the head coach or you got to blow something up a little bit, because it clearly hasn't worked. It's been okay. Like, you're having a lot more success than some teams, but you're watching a team like the Patriots who broke down, rebuilt, and now they look a lot better than you. Patriots 32, Browns 13. They blew out the Cleveland Browns. Drake May is a top 3 quarterback in football right now, Steve. 18 of 24, 75% completion percentage, 280 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception against one of the premier defenses in football right now. He's top 5 in passing yards, top 6 in passing touchdowns, number 1 in completion percentage. He's playing great against bad teams and good teams. He's playing good in the big games on the road. He's winning big games, divisional rivalries against the Buffalo Bills. Now he diced up one of the better defenses in football. He's been the best deep throwing passer in the NFL this year, but I think the most impressive thing to me has been his touch. Whether it's a cover 3 cut coverage, he gets a corner right in that little gap, he finds a D route in cover 2. He's been absolutely phenomenal. And for me, he's my prototype quarterback. He has just the right amount of athleticism, but he's also lethal with his arm. And to be 23 years old doing this is pretty impressive, Steve. I wouldn't be surprised to see his name in the MVP mix this week.
I'll read some names. Aaron Rodgers, 2011-20. Tom Brady, 07. Manning, 04. Mahomes, 18. Pretty sure every single one of those years, those guys won MVP. Pretty sure. That is quarterbacks with 200-plus passing yards, 100 rating in 7 consecutive games. Drake May's now one of those quarterbacks. Not saying May's going to win MVP, but how good has he been this year? I know it's the Browns, so the Browns got a heck of a defense. Myles Garrett had 5 sacks, and he's just going to rattle off 3 touchdowns. He had the pick, but barely any incompletions. The guy's awesome. As a Caleb Williams fan, I don't know if I can say Caleb Williams is good anymore when I see Jaden Daniels is in the NFC Championship game in year 1, and then Drake May finally has a head coach and coordinator, and then he's riding off this. What are they, 6-2 now? And I said it last week or the other week when we were talking about quarterbacks in this class. It's not like this guy has Jefferson, Addison, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones. He's got a decent Stephon Diggs, Booty, Douglas, Hunter Henry, Ramondre, and whatever they're going to use from Travion Henderson. He doesn't have the best unit in the world. Does not. He has one of the worst. Like, if you were to rank receiving groups in the NFL, New England's towards the bottom 5, bottom 10, and he's throwing 3+ touchdowns a game. I mean, this guy's great. Like, I don't think I have nothing else to say, but he is just a playmaker.
He has impressed me. And last year, if you watched Drake May, you could have seen the sparks of talent. You could have seen the flashes. He had an even worse supporting cast last year. And like you said, Steve, it's not even close to being a good group right now. I'd argue maybe it's average. Guys are stepping up. Mac Hollins had a huge day. Diggs, Booty, Pop Douglas, the 2 tight end set that they got rolling there with Josh McDaniels. It's really good, but it's not incredible. Drake May is the offense right now. Travion Henderson had a breakout game. That was huge. The Patriots are a dark horse contender right now for me. And I probably wouldn't say that if I hadn't seen them beat the Bills, but they went into Buffalo and stole a big game. So they're beating teams they should be beating. Should have beat the Steelers, too. I think they had like 5 turnovers, and the Raiders, that was a rain game. Like, these are games that they should have won. They had it in their grasp. I haven't seen a poor football game from this team in a long time. Drake May's playing incredible football. Mike Vrabel's up there for Coach of the Year. The defense is really good. I think they got 2 guys in the top 25 sack total right now. Like, they're a really good, well-put-together team, built from the ground up, drafted Drake May, 23 years old, playing incredible ball, and they're just getting started. Like, if they make the playoffs this year, that's a huge step for them already. And I think that they're shooting even further than that. They could easily win this division if Buffalo loses a few more games and they continue
They
on
can get
this.
a bye. They can get a bye. They got a Mickey schedule. I'm not saying they will. I'd rather put money on the Colts, but they got a Mickey schedule. A bunch of Jets, Dolphins, Bengals. They can get a bye.
And I said that to start the year, like, they had a top 3 easiest schedule in football. But the thing about May is, like, he did it against Buffalo, which was great, and he did it now against the Browns, which is a really good defense. So I don't know how you can really debate the MVP conversations right now. Like, he is right up there, playing better ball than Josh Allen. Right before this, I filmed an episode that's attached to this, Steve, and I was just saying, like, listen, I love Josh Allen, but there's no way in hell he's second in MVP voting right now. He's just not. Like, Drake May's playing better football. Dak has played better football this year. Baker's played better football. Matt Stafford's played better football. There's a lot of guys up there. And Drake May has been hella impressive. Hella impressive. The Browns, you talked about Myles Garrett. Want to hear what you think, Steve, because for me, there was obviously the trade rumors going around. Then he got the cash. Yeah. Myles Garrett brought this upon himself. He could have went another direction, but the money called his name. The big contract presented itself, and he bought in. So you can't be frustrated with a team that was clearly in the dumps, that had no direction towards the playoffs this year when you bought into the money. You wanted the cash, and I don't blame him. That's a lot of money. I'm probably taking that too and running for my life. But, like, I get it. 5 sacks, you get blown out. That's really tough. But it's the Cleveland Browns. If you wanted to win, unfortunately, I don't think Cleveland's the place to be right now.
I 100% agree. You know, they panned him in the sideline, a game where he had 5 sacks and he lost by like 30, and he's crashing out. And I can respect the competitiveness, but I don't feel bad at one bit. He chose this for himself. Listen, when he demanded that trade, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is your ticket out. You spent 8 years in Cleveland. You know it's a mess. Your career is going to die. One of the best players in the league has having his Hall of Fame career first ballot wasted. You could have that 5 sacks, not in Cleveland, but in Green Bay, in Buffalo, and still get paid. Maybe not Cleveland money, but still get paid. But Andrew Berry wasn't going to trade him, sent him the money, and he folded like a lawn chair. Listen, $40 million plus when you're 30, that's security. But I don't want to hear smashing, you're breaking stuff, your quarterback sucks. You've been knowing that your entire life in the NFL. You had it out, but you took the money, and now you're going to get 5 meaningless sacks when those could be 5 Super Bowl winning sacks if you're Myles Garrett. So I don't feel bad at all, Myles. You put this on yourself, man.
Yeah, exactly. And the second the money rolled in, it was dog pound for life. And I was just like, I thought you requested a trade. There were rumors he was going to Philly.
Yeah, he requested a trade.
And the Packers went out and got Micah. It's like you could have had an opportunity to go out. And again, I don't blame him. It's just like you can't have the best of both worlds right now. You wanted the crazy amount of cash. You're stuck in a place that could give it to you, but they stink. They suck right now. So I hate to break it to him. I feel for him, but, like, you wanted the money. You're stuck in Cleveland. That's what you're going to get. I want to go
Colts. He couldn't got paid elsewhere, though. Like, Micah Parsons went to Green Bay and got $46 million. Mm-hmm. Myles Garrett could have had a Micah Parsons or Reggie White arc where he goes to another team, and then even at 30-plus, he's getting paid all this money and he wins a Super Bowl. But he did that to himself.
Well, I wouldn't even blame him either because he spent his time. Like, he did his time in Cleveland. It's not like he just went out in 2 or 3 years. Like, he spent, like you said, his 6 to 8 years there. He did his time. Mm-hmm. It's time for him to go win, right? So I wouldn't blame them. It's just like you chose the money, right? You're not going to get the winning in Cleveland. Nope. Where you might get the winning, Steve, your team who's been hooping. I hope you're ready to put all your trust in this team because I am. Like, they're 7-1. They've looked, honestly, since week 1 till now, like the best team in football. Like, they've been the most consistent. They have – I don't think I've seen a bad game from them. Like, you can point at the Rams, but I don't necessarily think that was a bad game. They just shot themselves in the foot a few times, a few big touchdowns. They probably should have won the game, probably should be 8-0. They demolished the Titans 38-14. Jonathan Taylor should be in the MVP race. We talked about him and Bijan a few weeks ago. He's clearly now the number 1 running back in football this year. 12 carries, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. This is historic pace. He's on pace for 25.5 touchdowns, 1,800 rushing yards. Every time I turn on the Colts, he's in the end zone. It's a 70-yard touchdown. He's so explosive. He opens up this offense, and I appreciate what he's doing because a lot of people, I'm not going to say we're sleeping on him, but he kind of flew under the radar when they were talking best running backs in football, your CMCs, your Barkleys, your Bijans. I don't think JT's name was circulating like that to start the season, Steve.
No, and it's really because he had that 1 or 2 year stretch when he was dealing with injuries off that offensive player of the year, and the offensive line was bad. And the Colts were bad. But, JV, let me just say this to you. If any quarterback in this league, from Mahomes to Tua, had 1,000 total yards, 14 total touchdowns, and their team was 7-1, which is the best record in the sport, everyone and their mother would be screaming at the top of the hill that they're the MVP frontrunner. But since it's Jonathan Taylor, a running back, a position that people still can't come around and say it brings value to a team, he's not going to sniff an MVP vote. He's going to get shoved to Offensive Player of the Year, which is just pretty much turned into the best non-quarterback award for offensive players, which is sad. And we've done this with Cooper Kupp. We've done this with Saquon, Derrick Henry on the Titans. These offensive players who, let's be honest, carried the majority of the weight on their team, had great seasons, historic numbers, and records, and yet they don't sniff one MVP vote. But to me, Jonathan Taylor is about to make Saquon Barkley's season look silly. And the fact that he's having this season and he's probably not going to get an MVP vote is sad. I'm not saying that Jonathan Taylor is the MVP, but to me, he's been the most important Colt. People are going to say Daniel Jones because he came on this team and now look at this offense. I don't know where the Colts are at without Jonathan Taylor running like this. He's had the best offensive season on this team. He's the biggest reason why they're 7-1 in the first place. He's having an all-time season. He's going to smash Saquon Barkley's season from last year. And Saquon Barkley was like the media darling. He's on every other commercial I see. I wonder how many commercials Saquon Barkley is going to get after this season, possibly an MVP, and maybe the Colts, hopefully, cross your fingers, that they win a couple playoff games.
Well, Steve, I'm ready to say Daniel Jones is also in the MVP race. Like, the Colts legitimately have 2 MVPs this year. As far as stats go, as far as performance goes, Daniel Jones has been phenomenal. I don't think I've seen a bad game from him. Not like a Dak 2-interception game from this last week. I know he played subpar against the Rams, but it wasn't a catastrophe. It wasn't like what I saw from Baker a few weeks ago either. Like, he's played really consistent football right there behind Drake May, 270 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against the Titans. He had his stint in Minnesota, probably learned a lot behind Kevin O'Connell, Sam Darnold, who's now hooping in Seattle. And now he's got a plethora of weapons in Indianapolis. Like we mentioned, Steve, he's got a ton of weapons. I cannot believe Tyler Warren was drafted after Colston Loveland. I cannot believe it. It shocks me every single time. It shocked everyone on draft day. But he's got a ton of weapons. But Daniel Jones and JT, I agree. JT is the most important player to the Indianapolis Colts right now because he opens up the offense and he allows for defenses to be attracted into the box, give Daniel Jones time, let him breathe, see things around the defense, see the coverages. JT's been phenomenal. Daniel Jones has been so much better than anticipated. Where do you see the Colts? Like, realistically, do you think this is a Super Bowl team, Steve? I know maybe there's a little bit of bias attached here. Haven't seen the Colts at this level for a long time, but they look promising.
Most points per drive, according to ESPN, through 8 weeks in a single season since 78. 07 Patriots, skip. 2000 Rams, 2018 Chiefs. The skip was the 2025 Colts, 3.46. Right behind the Patriots' greatest offense ever, maybe, with 3.57. I'm not going to say they're going to win the AFC because I will always, forever, you know me, forever, ever, ever, until Mahomes, Reed, Spags, Kelsey, Chris Jones are on that team, I will forever pencil them in to win the AFC. But the Colts are the clear 2. I think they're going to go in the AFC Championship. They might get a bye. The playoff path in the AFC might run through Lucas Oil. And I know the Broncos and the Patriots are right behind them, and there's going to have some. We're going to have to watch that standings throughout the stretch of the season. But the Colts, if they were in the Super Bowl, it would surprise me a little bit because Daniel Jones is going to have to outclass probably Herbert, Josh Allen, and definitely Patrick Mahomes. But if they were in the AFC Championship game, it wouldn't surprise me at all because this is not a fluke. This isn't like the Saints last season when the first 2 games are scoring like 30 a game. No, this is for real. They're a wagon. They're like the Detroit Lions. This engine just keeps pumping through their running back, through their solid receivers, and their quarterback. As long as he's not making mistakes, point, shoot, put the ball in the right place, this team can score on anybody.
Yeah, I said it last week. They have my full trust. Like, I've seen enough through 8 weeks of football now to say, like you said, Steve, this is not a fluke. This team is really good. As far as the playoffs go, that's a whole different beast. We saw the Vikings go 14-3 last year and shit their pants in the wild card. But the Colts are moving a little different right now. They are doing whatever they want. They are demolishing some really bad teams, but they're walking all over them. And in some good games, they're right there. They are right there. So as far as the AFC goes, I agree with you. It's Chiefs 1, but after that, wouldn't be surprised to see the Colts there. I'd probably go the Chiefs if they got a healthy roster. wherever the game is, I'm going to bet on KC. But if I have another team I'm going for, it's probably the Colts. They look phenomenal. I'm pumped to keep talking Colts with you, Steve. Thanks for joining me tonight for Week 8 Monday Night Recap. I appreciate you, man.